Greetings from Snake Mountain Boat Works on Friday, March 25, 2022. Here's an update on our 1940 17-foot Chris Craft double cockpit forward barrelback runabout. Well, we've exposed the skeleton, and what we found isn't pretty. One of the reasons we've basically stopped working on her for several days and into next week is a problem that we face way too often with these old wooden boats. People insist on leaving them in the water all year, soaking up water. Don Dannenberg did an experiment where he discovered that dry boats launched in the spring can absorb as much as 50% of their dry weight in water by the time they're hauled the next fall. This boat was no exception. They come in, they're still soaking wet, and of course we put them in cold storage, as you do with your boats, I would guess. And the problem is, here we are in Vermont, where everything freezes and stays frozen all winter. And the result is that the moisture, well, let's call it water, in the wood, particularly if it's not been sealed with Smith's clear penetrating epoxy sealer, and this boat was not, just absorbs that water, and then it freezes. And as we all know, when water freezes, it expands. And as it expands, it not only contributes to rot, but it blows the wood apart all too often. Not every time, but all too often. We've been doing this now for going on 15 years, and I can't tell you how many times this is what we find when we open up one of your boats and examine her below the waterline. So once we got the planking off, what we discovered is that, particularly in places like this, oh, and there are those stainless steel screws. They're just wonderful things. The wood has just either blown apart or continued rotting or worse. So in the case of this boat, we are going to be faced with changing, I'd say at least half of the frames on this bottom. As you can see, sure, we could drive some screws in here and maybe put a little epoxy in there, but that's not going to stay. And of course, this frame's loose. This frame rocks and rolls. And one of the reasons all these frames rock and roll, yeah, honest, this one's attached. All of these, what I will call intermediate frame members, are flying free at the chine. I can't be sure, but whether these were Chris Craft frame pieces, these little horseshoes that we find on every one of these intermediate cross members. In other words, here's a major cross member, here's a major heavy cross member, and then we have the intermediate ones where the frame member that comes across sits in this little saddle, this little horseshoe-shaped saddle, but they're not attached. This one's attached through the sides as it should. This one won't rock and roll because it's attached to these floorboards. This one, look at, it's just floating. It's not only not attached here, it's not attached there. So if we did an inventory, replace, maybe save, replace, maybe save, replace, and replace. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I may have missed one. 7. And we have not yet decided what we are going to do back here. Most of the keel is savable. We will need to do some work here. This has got some sort of strange sleeve inside, running inside the prop shaft tunnel. I can't, there's no way I can get enough light on it for you to see it. But an open question is what we do right here. But we may end up boring a new prop shaft tunnel in this guy. So there were 7, I think I said on that side, or 8. Here's another one in a horseshoe and movable. Again. And this is the remnants of something. There's a little bit of 5200 right there. This guy is obviously gone. This one's gone. This one's gone. This one's gone. This one's gone. And this one's gone. Fortunately, this guy way up forward that anchors the forward lifting rod and ring is in good shape, and we don't have to fight inside there to replace it. The stem and the gripe, oh, time will tell, but that's certainly not a pretty picture. So what are the lessons? What are the takeaways? Well, if you're going to replace a frame, anchor it through the chine the way it was originally by Chris Craft. If you're going to insist on leaving your wooden boat in the water all year, which is something we absolutely do not recommend, don't bring it to us in November having just pulled it out of the water saying, okay, yeah, I know you won't be able to start working on her to April, just put her in storage till then. You're only inviting trouble. Oh, we've got some more Luan. These guys are the Luan kings. Or queens, we can't be sure of the gender of the people who worked on this boat. So we're gonna let her dry. The last time we put a moisture meter here, we were still up over 20% in too many places. Just let it keep soaking. And starting sometime next week, probably the second half of next week, we'll be able to start cleaning this completely and begin. Well, the first thing we'll have to do, of course, is release the entire keel. It has to come out, and then we will start working on the bottom frames. So that's where we are. on Friday, March 25, 2022, trying to make progress on our 1940 17-foot Chris Craft double cockpit forward barrelback runabout. Thank you so much. Bye-bye for now from Snake Mountain Boat Works.